Hello children, welcome to AIMS India's online class. This is biology session, Habitat. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the living organisms and their surroundings. Very interesting lesson. So you know very well, whenever you visit a new place, okay, you will see different kinds of living things if you observe. Okay, for example, if you visit a place like River Ganga in Rishikesh, you will find different organisms. If you climb the mountains, where the cool places, you may saw many kinds of trees on the mountains, on these mountains. Can you name some trees which you observe on the mountains? Yes, oaks, pines, deodars, and very different from the trees which are near our surrounding homes, which are at the plains. We are living on the plains, isn't it? So if you go for any another trip like Rajasthan or a desert, you will find camels through the hot deserts, moving through the hot deserts. They collect different kinds of cactus plants, you will see. Okay, or when you visit a place like a seashore, a beach, definitely some trees you will find, the daughter trees like casuarina. Okay, these are all nice experiences if you recall the places where you visit where it is cold or very hot and dry, or some places with so much humid. Okay, you will find many organisms, so living creatures of various kinds. So in this lesson we are going to discuss about the different kinds of animals and plants and their adaptations which help them to survive. Okay, the animals and plants which live on land, terrestrial, okay, which live in water, aquatic, okay, which live in desert, xeric, isn't it? Okay, let us are you ready children? Let us proceed. Animals and habitat. Terrestrial animals and adaptations. Okay, so the animals living on land are called terrestrial animals. What are terrestrial animals? Animals living on land are called terrestrial animals. Their bodies are suited to live on land. The terrestrial animals, their body are well suitable to live on land. The terrestrial animals either live on the land or inside the burrow below the surface. Okay, terrestrial means either they may live on land or inside the burrows below the surface of the soil. Okay, you will find some of the animals given listed here. A horse, okay, a deer, kangaroo, elephant, the largest terrestrial animal, fox, a hamster, a polar bear, a cow. These are all the terrestrial animals. Okay, you can name many other animals which you see, a dog, cat, rat. Okay, different animals which you come across in your surroundings, different kinds of birds, isn't it? The animals and Habitat, Terrestrial Animals and Adaptations. So these animals have well developed systems of locomotory organs. They possess a well developed locomotory organs. Okay. These animals which we find in different locations, okay, they possess different kinds of locomotory organs like legs, skin and wings, and the breathing organs also. Some of them breathe with the help of lungs, with the help of skin. Okay, during their breathing, what they breathe oxygen. So all other systems including the sensory organs are well suited for the survival on land. Okay, see these animals: fox, owl, lion, tiger, deer, squirrel, zebra, okay, say kangaroo rat, a polar bear, a panda, a lion. Okay, so these are all the animals or the living organisms which we find on land. Okay, the adaptations. Some terrestrial animals like snakes and earthworms, they don't have locomotory organs like legs. They simply crawl. In the polar region, the animals have to face some harsh winters. Okay, they show different adaptations. Okay, on the mountains you find goats and yaks, and some creatures, isn't it? So overall we can see different kinds of animals okay, which live on land. Okay, so a habitat and adaptations we are going to see. In polar regions, the animals has to face the harsh winters. The animals living in the polar regions, they have thick hair coat on the skin and fat under it keep them warm. Okay, the fat under the skin, it is called the blubber, which acts like an insulator which prevents the heat loss from the body. Okay, so such animals which live in the polar region, some examples like polar bear, yak, and the penguins, okay, you will find in the polar region. Okay, so the terrestrial habitats, the plants and animals that live on land, they are under the terrestrial habitats. Some terrestrial habitats are example: forests, grasslands, deserts, coastal and the mountain regions. Okay, the habitats of plants and animals, if you see, you find there are some changes that can happen in an animal, okay, over a short period of time to help them to adjust to some changes in their environments. Such changes are called adaptations, isn't it? So for example, for instance, if we live in the plains and suddenly go to the high mountain regions, we may experience difficulty in breathing and doing physical exercise for some days. We need to breathe faster when we are on high mountains. After some days, what happens? Our body adjusts to the changed conditions on the high mountains. So such small changes that take place in the body of a single organism over a short periods to overcome the small problems due to changes in the surroundings are together called as the acclimatization. Acclimatization means adjusting to the environment. So these changes are different from the adaptations that takes place over thousands of years. Adaptations are permanent, but acclimatization means the temporary adjustment of such a living organism, the living organism in its changed surrounding to the changed environment. The adjustments which in hours or in days which took place to adjust to that to suit to that environment called acclimatization. It is called acclimatization. So you see here a penguin, okay, a layer of overlapping feathers coated with oil they possess. They breathe. They have special blood and muscle tissues, increasing the increasing movement of oxygen for during a winter dive. Okay, they eat the diet krill, squids, and fishes. They eat. Okay, they protect. They have highly protection. They move in groups. They guard around the eggs, swimming zigzag through the water. These penguins, flightless bird, present in the polar region. They possess the pockets of air underneath their feathers, okay, which holds the heat. It is an adaptation for getting warmth. Next, in the water, their movement, they dive, move easily. Heavy solid bones are present for this easy movement. A pair of wings, they propel forward in the water, like they act like paddles and push the water. The body is streamlined and help to reduce the resistance, means to swim against the water current. Waterproof feathers they possess to swim faster in the water. So these are all the adaptations of a penguin living in the polar region, very cold conditions. And a polar bear, if you check the adaptations in the polar bear, a polar bear possesses webbed feet, a layer of fat, fur that helps them blend in and dry off, and black skin to absorb the sun's heat. A white appearance, what do you call a camouflage, from prey on the snow and ice. This camouflage help them to catch the prey. They mingle themselves with the surrounding. You know, polar region, very pleasing atmosphere, very cool, covered with snow. Okay, they possess webbed feet with hairs underneath it, so that on the smooth surface also they can walk. The thick layer of fat and fur beneath their black skin, it acts like an insulator and prevent the heat loss, means the insulation against the cold. A small surface area to volume ratio to minimize the heat loss. It is having a small surface area to volume the ratio and to minimize the heat loss. So if you see a polar bear shows following adaptations. A polar bear has a thick white fur. This help it blend into the snow and also stay warm. A polar bear have thick rough sandpaper like paws, means underneath the feet. This helps them to grip and prevent the slippery ice and get a good traction, means it can move freely without skidding. on the smooth ice surface. And polar bears have strong legs. This helps them swim fast through the icy water. The polar bears have an excellent sense of smell. This adaptation helps them find the food, find their prey. These are all the adaptations of a polar bear. It's a terrestrial animal, but the conditions, different environmental conditions in the polar region. Okay. Next, desert, opposite conditions. Deserts are very hot during the day but become cold at night. Animals have to adapt to these conditions and also have to live with very little water because there is a scarcity of water in the desert. Animals living in a desert have the skin with less hair. Best example, camel. Camel is an example of the desert animals. They have thick skin which protects it from the sun and also from the cold. The camel is called the ship of the desert. Some more adaptations in the camel we will see. Camel adaptations. Fat is stored in the hump. So this is the hump where the fat is stored. It is a reserved food material. It lives on this fat and so can survive without food or water for many days. A large flat feet, okay, strong knees to spread their weight on the sand. Okay, pad-like. A thick fur on the top of the body for shade and thin fur elsewhere to allow easy heat loss. Okay, thick fur will be there and the thin fur will be there. Okay, thick fur for shade and the thin fur allows easy heat loss from the body. It doesn't sweat because water loss can be prevented, no sweat pores. Some animals such as lizards and snakes and rats, kangaroo rats we can say, they cannot bear cold. Okay. And these terrestrial habitat if you take briefly. The terrestrial habitats are broadly classified into two main types, or we can take the habitat can be broadly classified into terrestrial habitats and aquatic habitats. Terrestrial means the habitat on land, aquatic means the habitat in water. The terrestrial habitat is again divided into deserts, mountains and grasslands. The aquatic habitats divides into ocean, ponds. Okay. So these adaptations help the organisms to exist. Okay. The desert animals like rats and snakes which do not have the long legs that the camels has, but to stay away from the intense heat during the day, they stay in the burrows deep in the sand. So these animals come out only during the night time. It is the adaptation for hot conditions. Some typical plants that grow in the deserts also show some adaptations. Okay. So there are adaptations in the plants and in the animals. Some similarities and some differences are there. The similarities like heat loss can be prevented. Okay, plants also try to prevent the water loss from the body. Animal also try to prevent. It minimizes its excretion, the passage out of water. Okay. So further more we are going to discuss in the next class. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for receiving latest updates.